Welcome to the show, everyone. We want to thank everybody for joining. Also to say happy Thanksgiving. We know it's Sunday. I hope you are with the family and they had a good time and you didn't eat too much turkey. We have myself and our guest host, as always, John on the mic. How you doing, John?
Good. It's like a party in here. I brought the nachos. So we're having a good time. Yeah.
Leftover turkey, right?
Yeah, leftover turkey and nachos. I like to mix it up. Yeah, our tradition in our household is we go get Chinese food on Thanksgiving. So,
whoa, impressive.
I've been known to serve sushi.
Yeah. You just got to mix it up. Life's about change.
On our show today, we have Michael Oakland of Horizon Inspection and his younger partner, Luke. Yeah. And later on the show, we will have Jamie Brady, who's Executive Director for Hearts of Gold. So how you doing there, Mike? How you doing there, Luke?
Good.
Doing well. What you guys?
We're good. Hey, we were, I know last week we had the privilege of talking to you a little bit about doing inspections on new construction. Mm-hmm. Today I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of doing an inspection on a home before it goes on the market.
I love this topic. Yes. This is very good. Do you want me to just free flow on this, or you have a specific question?
Freestyle.
I could go bars. I know the benefits from the real estate side of things, but I think it's something we don't talk about enough.
Yeah. When this was really popular when the market started to soften. Sellers were coming to the market with kind of a sense of transparency. We've already done a formal inspection. It really prevents a lot of unpleasant surprises that might come up during the normal buyer side inspection, which that's probably going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
But it helps you at least be aware of where you're at and get on top of things and maybe make repairs. In some places, if you make a repair, you don't have to disclose a defect. It's already fixed. So your list of defects and your seller disclosure statement could be a lot cleaner by the time you hit the market.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I was going to say, it probably depends a little bit on the scope
repair?
of that repair. So if you caulked the windows,
type of defect as well.
We're not going to have to talk about the fact that the windows were caulked. I mean, that's just a simple maintenance issue.
Yeah, sure.
But when you get your inspection and it's like, oh yeah, the windows need to be caulked, and then they start adding up all these little maintenance things,
nickel and
then
dime
it starts
stuff.
looking like, has this house been maintained at all? So I think you're right. Yeah. That type of thing would not necessarily be on a seller disclosure because we're looking for plumbing and electrical and pets and pests and all that, roof, things like that. Things that are minor maintenance items. It amazes me that people don't change their filters
About
before.
to say their filter on their HVAC.
Yeah, why not change that before an inspector comes in and starts looking at the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that when you start doing inspections and you start seeing little things, you start looking harder.
Yeah, it kind of makes you slow down. I mean, I'm kind of slow anyway, but when you start seeing a pattern starts to show itself, it's like, wait a second, I don't think this house has really been maintained at all. Because you start seeing, the evidence doesn't lie. It doesn't care. It is what it is. Yeah. So you're like, they haven't changed the filter. The dishwasher was installed wrong. They're missing insulation wrap around the dishwasher. Right. It's like, okay, all right.
When you do the report and the report is done, do you have most sellers offer that report to the buyers, or do you recommend that, or what do you think?
As far as I know, granted, I'm not a realtor. I mean, that's what you guys do. Once I deliver the report, I'm assuming that the buyer's going to use it however them and their agent determine is the best use of the report. Now, whether they're required to share that with the seller, I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the seller. I'm talking about the seller when you do a pre-listing inspection,
right,
and you give them a report. Do they give it to the buyer and say, hey, here's a report already done, already taken care of?
It can certainly be a helpful marketing tool because because in that case, the seller might be able to provide a report that's full and complete, and the buyer may go, wow, I don't need to do my own report. Now, should they rely on it? Probably not.
Okay.
But is it a way to show good faith and transparency? Definitely. It really helps with credibility.
Yeah, I think that, too, it depends. Like, they can hire you to come out and look at that house again. Do you have reduced rate if you're coming back
Yes,
after the
I would.
seller's done a couple of those repairs?
Yeah, those are. I would definitely do a reduced rate. It's kind of on a case by case basis, depending on how complex the initial report was.
And maybe
If
how
there's
long
any big
ago it
repairs,
was?
yeah, and how long ago it was. If there's been any repairs that are known that are disclosed, so there's a few curveballs to consider, but I always think it warrants some kind of a reduction in the fee.
Sure, and I think that it makes sense to have that buyer they can hire another inspector. They're going to
Yep.
get a completely different opinion
Yep.
based
they
on
will.
what that inspector's background is. But to have you come back out, you're accountable for your work, correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's the other thing. The inspector is not accountable to anyone except their client.
Right.
So if the seller hires me, then I'm accountable to the seller.
So you are, in essence, then the buyer becomes your client, and
Yes.
and you now have a client
yes,
relationship.
we reforged that inspector buyer relationship.
Mhm.
So,
and it does give
yeah.
you an opportunity to look at the repairs that were done to see
Certainly.
if they were done in a workmanlike manner.
Certainly.
So from the real estate side, I'll tell you what we like about it. One, the seller may not be willing to do repairs that come up in the inspection report, but they certainly have the opportunity to disclose
Sure.
and to price the house accordingly. And
Yeah, if you're leaving certain honey-do list items undone, and you've considered that, it's very difficult to justify negotiating price at that point.
yeah, I think the disclosure is a huge benefit to the
Yeah.
seller.
Yeah,
The other
agree.
thing is that a lot of times, once that repair ends up on the buyer's, well, we call it a BINSR, it's the buyer's inspection notice and the seller response, it sometimes says, have a contractor, and then it gives
Right.
that scope of the repair,
Mhm.
where I don't need to hire a contractor to caulk my windows.
Mm.
But at that point, the seller has to, am I saying yes to this? Or am I saying
Right.
no to this request? Or am I rewriting it so I can say, well, I'll have a handyman do it, but I'm not going to hire someone at a contractor rate to do that. So it really gives some of that power back to the seller.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's always a balancing act on whether if the buyer has control of the repair process, the seller usually loses control of several factors, including cost. If the seller's paying for repairs, the buyer's usually worried that they're going to do it on the cheap, and they're going to lose control of something they're going to have to be owning for long term.
Yeah, and Luke, when you sit there and you're doing inspection, is there anything that you're looking for specifically, or you just go in there with an open eye?
Usually I just go in with an open eye because every inspection is different. Every home is different, and depending on the material, the different things we're looking for, that completely changes the variety of things we're looking
Right.
for. So as we say, no two houses are ever the same. But as some people say, there's a lot of cookie cutter style of houses. So, but it's always good to come in with a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh set of just like, what is this? What is the story the house is telling us? What is it giving us?
Are you comfortable now doing the inspection stuff? You sound comfortable.
Having done it for quite a bit, I'm pretty comfortable doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
as I'm still going through school, I'm learning more of the ins and outs of the process and why we look at things and what's wrong. So it's learning a lot more of the reasons behind what we're looking for and what we do.
Good job. We're headed to the break. We have Michael Oakland of Horizon Inspection and Luke, who's a counterpart, a little buddy.
He's like a larger medium buddy,
Yeah.
not like a little guy at all.
Well, we thank you for spending this afternoon with us. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show on KVOI 1030 AM. We'll see you on the other side. Hey, thanks for coming back to the I Am Real Estate Show with Sandra, Ray, and John. Our guest host, John. And we have on our show, we have Michael and Luke.
Yeah, they're the coolest people that you could possibly ask for. He's like the battling duo here in the studio. But the cool thing that I like about these guys, having them, they both inspected my place, I believe. I don't know if it's both you guys, one of you guys.
Yeah.
But I know Horizon inspected my place. And thanks to the relationship that you guys had with Ray and Sandra helping us buy our house. And in that process, not only did I see like this team of 1,000 different groups come and kind of are part of the process of buying a house, but I saw how much in symbiosis you guys, the inspection company and the real estate company work to kind of get us to the finish line. So if you could speak about that, what that relationship is between you and Ray and Sandra, and and what that is that kind of that harmony that is between the inspector and the real estate agent?
Yeah, no, that's I appreciate the question. It's really key to me that the realtor community, to some degree, they trust us to just be objective.
Yes.
Their first and highest priority is a duty of honesty to the public as realtors. They have that realtor code of ethics. And so when they build trust with inspectors, everyone understands that we have to be objective and protect the client first and foremost. We're here to protect clients and look at evidence. We're not here to protect transactions. So the transaction is the sovereign territory of the client, whether they're going to move forward or not.
Yeah, a lot of people will ask that question too, won't they? They'll say, "Would you buy this house?"
Yeah, it's like, well, my name's not on the purchase and sale agreement, so I mean, I can't answer that. And sometimes I'll get cheeky and I'll say, well, no, because I have special needs kids and this wouldn't fit for my needs. And so it's like, there's always some kind of an out. But yeah, so the relationship with the realtors is really a professional mutual trust where I trust them that they're not going to try to pressure me to say something hey, inspect this with a light pencil. I don't want a client to get scared. If a realtor ever talks to me like that, probably not going to get much work from them because I'm not going to betray the client for the sake of protecting of a realtor relationship. So it's a very, very important relationship of trust that's mutual, that has to be guarded.
So Ray and I want our clients for life. We don't want them
exactly
for a transaction and we're done.
Right.
We want to watch the kids graduate from high school or we want to go to the retirement parties, whatever it is. We just want to stay connected and know that we have provided a great service and that person is going to be in our life going forward. And so we are so dependent on having good people working with us that helps us also protect our clients. So that was a great question.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and protecting a client is always about protecting everyone's best interest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in that question, I mean, I'll leave you guys with this. You have fun. I just appreciated it so much. I mean, definitely in with the work I saw Horizon Inspections do, I mean, you guys really got us up to par on kind of the litany of issues from the very littlest, like you have this trap that needs to be changed or this filter that needs to be changed, to your roof's falling apart or you have to get this part fixed before you're allowed to get the loan. So I really appreciated that. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, you bet, man.
Hey, we were talking about the value of doing a pre-listing inspection so that the house is pretty much market ready or all the issues are disclosed and we're pricing it appropriately. Do you do anything different? Because I know cosmetics are not really part of the inspection. But if you were working with someone on a pre-listing, would you maybe have a conversation with them and talk about the cosmetics, or are you just going to stick to the same type of inspection that you do when it's for the buyer?
Yeah, I tend to be more I try to put myself in a different mindset. Like some of the things that I would say in a report to a buyer, I don't say it that way to a seller because they're not on the market. So I don't have to say before the close. So there's a few things in verbiage that changes in the report because who your audience is. But let them know, hey, this could come up in a report. This could come up in a future inspection. This could, this is a safety issue that we recommend this upgrade. This wasn't required at the time, but this is recommended. So these are things that are likely to come up on a future inspection. And if I'm assuming that there's always assuming there's going to be one. I never assume with a pre-listing inspection that I'm it. I assume there's going to be some kind of review or some kind of a consultation or some kind of, a secondary look.
Sure, it might even be a vendor that comes out because of something that they read in there. They may not be doing an entirely new inspection, but maybe they're having like, the biggest issues were HVAC and electric. Let's just hire an electrician and HVAC. There's probably going to be someone that follows up. I would hope someone that would follow up on those issues. So, wanted to talk also about how that seller can prepare their home for a home inspection.
Well, for the home inspection, it's going to be not that different than preparing for like staging or preparing to go on the market. Try to make sure the house is clean, that things are unobstructed, that the attic access, if there is one, is not blocked by furniture or The electrical panel's accessible. Sometimes it's behind like a piece of art so that no one has to see it. We need to have access to all the things that we can, a representative number of electrical outlets in all the rooms. So maybe moving beds or dressers if something's blocked. But simple things, just allowing us to have access to things. And then if there's any history of the house, history of repairs, being available to have a good like sidebar conversation, like what's going on here? When was the last time this particular system was modified?
Yeah, you get those opportunities when you have a buyer in a house.
When a buyer's there, they have no idea what happened, and his sellers are the only ones who have all that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally can see where that would be a huge benefit.
I'm laughing.
I was going to say, maintenance-wise, what would you recommend? We already talked about like changing a filter.
Like swap out your smoke detectors and make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector installed in the hallway outside the sleeping areas. These are things that are very, very commonly overlooked. And, safety standards require them, but Arizona doesn't. So what do you care about? You care about keeping the Arizona powers that be happy, or you care about your family?
Right. Hey, Luke, when we talk with you, he said your dad said something, and I'm just trying to remember. When you talk about art, do you guys look behind the art, make sure there's no crack in there and stuff like that? You see art up there?
No, not usually.
Okay.
It's not recommended for us to move personal household items just for liability. If you go to move the picture off the wall and then you accidentally, with your hip, hit the shelf, and then the shelf knocks over the vase, and then it's like, oh.
That artwork just increased in value by threefold, right?
Exactly.
I
It's like,
paid $10,000, but the artist is no longer with us. Therefore, that artwork is now worth $30,000.
Exactly. Things
Luke,
like
get
that.
out your checkbook.
Oh, man. I was going to say something about carbon. I guess
I've literally knocked over something with my butt moving behind something. It's like, turns out that they're like, oh, that's fine. We own a pottery studio. We have thousands of them. That's fine. I'm like, oh, thank God.
What do you do when you cannot inspect an area?
You got to document that. Yeah, I take photos of the area of the obstruction so that the client can see the obstruction. I want them to know why I couldn't get access to an area. And then I just claim that as a limited review.
And that's in the report?
Yes, it goes in the report. Anything that's a limited review that I can't have access to, I document it both photographically and in verbiage. I'll write a paragraph.
All right. So just to recap a little bit, you are available to do pre-listing inspections, new construction, buyer inspections, and how do people get a hold of you?
All right, simplest way is a psychic connection. Just think really hard right now, wherever you are. Just think really hard.
That's too simple. You got 30 seconds to give them something better.
Okay, something better than that. 520-330-9703. Ray, it was a joke, but I love you anyway. 520-330-9703.
All right, we'll be back after the break.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Luke, for coming on the show.